Unbuilders is Canada's leading deconstruction company, which means we're approaching the removal of a building or a renovation in a completely different manner than traditional demolition. We're going in there to maximize how much we can salvage. Whatever we can't salvage, we recycle, and in the end, we minimize the waste. And when we salvage that material, we put it back into the supply chain. The construction and demolition sector is the largest contributor of solid waste to our landfills. It's about 4 million tons a year in Canada alone. And when you break that waste down, 37% of it is just lumber. So it is 100% salvageable or recyclable in the very least. There's no reason that should be in the landfill. So my background is as a certified passive house builder. So I've been in the construction industry, really ever since I was a kid renovating with my dad. And when I was done school and getting back into the industry, I just told myself that no matter what I do, I need to ensure that I'm moving forward with sustainability in construction. And construction is a horrible waste producer, one of the worst industries there is. And so I wanted to dedicate my entire career to making an impact there. So we do full deconstructions, which is taking a building down top to bottom, or we do what we call a selective deconstruction. So it's either an addition we're taking down or just the interior strip out of a building, or we do sort of a combination of deconstruction and demolition. That's typically driven by the client budget and the client demands. And then our service offering is anything from a full building takedown all the way down to like a single bathroom renovation. And we're deconstructing both residential and commercial industrial as well. A full deconstruction on, say, a residential level goes through a few different phases. The first is your hazardous material removal or your abatement. So you're going to get testing done and we'll know where the asbestos is in the building. We'll get our professionals in there to remove that safely. The second stage would be the initial salvage at that point. So we'll come in, take out the cabinets, the appliances, finishes and fixtures. We typically donate those to our two charitable partners, the Reuse People of Canada and Habitat for Humanity. And then we strip the inside. So that's drywall, insulation, utilities. Now you're back to the wood and the exterior shell, and then we're going to start our deconstruction. So it's really reverse engineering the building. We start on the roof and we work our way down to the foundation, and we bring a machine in at some point either to just do the foundation and the cleanup, or sometimes we use the excavator to actually help us pull the building apart to speed up our process. The materials are typically separated on site to maximize the salvage or recycling. So you've got your roofing, which is typically asphalt shingles, which is recycled here on this property with Eco Waste, one of our partners. You're dealing with drywall or plaster that's not asbestos containing. That goes to New West Gypsum and they recycle it back into new drywall. Then you have your lumber, which is either salvaged, which is what we do here, or recycled, which is either used as biofuel or it goes to pulp and paper. And then you have your concrete, which is also 100% recycled into road base. And you have very few materials that actually need to go to landfill that don't have a recycling or an upcycling supply chain right now. And those are old insulation and old stucco are really the two big ones. And I'd say a particle board, press board, if you have lower grade cabinets and you have like a full bin of that stuff, then the wood recyclers typically don't take that. We typically average about 95% waste diversion on a building. We've hit over 99% on some projects. Now, not every region has that infrastructure, so we're really fortunate to have all the different recyclers. For deconstruction to really take shape in the full capacity, which we see happening over the next 10 years, we will see that infrastructure being built in regions that don't have it at the moment.
Here we are at a beautiful home and our team is doing a selective deconstruction. Inside we are stripping back all the fixtures and finishes, assembling a donation package so that anything of value within the home will get donated so it can be reused down the road. Anything that can't be donated, we try to recycle or find another outlet or channel for. Our main goal here at Unbuilders is to try to recycle anything that can be recycled. So this works. Our team has a stickering system with a corresponding site binder. So what we do is any items that we're going to come and we want to save or salvage, we'll sticker them. And there's an itemized list. So fire mantle, louvers, TV, cabinets. When our team sees the sticker, they know that they are not demolishing this. Things like this built-in closet, they're really tough to salvage, so they will end up demoing this. But we'll pull out the electrical and other components. And when we see our built-in and the cabinets come off, our team will quickly snap off the cupboard doors and they can be reused somewhere else. This area is the kitchen. So we've gone and stickered everything. We have an actual map and plan for reassembly. So when we take apart this kitchen, there is a method to it, and everything is labeled to be reassembled down the road. And then that way it will stay out of the landfill and be repurposed. All the countertops, the cabinets, the appliances, the box cabinetry, it's all being saved. Even the valance details and the crown moldings. We're saving everything. This is a laundry room, and we would salvage the laundry room sink, the countertop, the cabinet boxes, and we have stickered the washer and dryer for our donation package. Same thing with fixtures and finishes. Anything with a sticker on it, we save, salvage, and load it up on the Habitat for Humanity truck. I love unbuilding because every single day you wake up with a motivation that we're driving change. We're trying to change people's perspective on the way they look at materials, and we can salvage household items, and really we can drive down our waste in the construction industry, which is a huge component of Canada's waste stream.
Every pound of waste that goes to the landfill, it's going to generate methane, which is 23 times worse than CO2. So it's a massive contributor to climate change, and it's something that we can actually curb really quickly with a little bit of infrastructure and retraining. The deconstruction costs more than demolition up front, but you get a tax receipt for everything we salvage and donate, which typically drives our price lower than demolition in the end. Now that's not always the case, but a lot of times it is. And that is because of our charitable partnerships. We also provide an acquisition model, so where the tax receipt isn't appealing to either the homeowner, or if it's a corporate-owned building, then we'll, in some circumstances, buy the lumber straight off of the owner and reduce our deconstruction cost by that acquisition cost. And then on top of that incentive is the other added benefits or impacts that deconstruction provides. So our partnership with Habitat for Humanity, for instance, ensures that when you hire on builders to deconstruct a building, you're also providing funding to Habitat for Humanity to build affordable housing. So there are several other benefits on top of the environmental ones and the financial ones. So I'm holding basically 3 different eras of wood to show what it is that we're recovering. So the first one we have here is from a pre-1920 house. This is a 2x4 when it was actually 2 inches by 4 inches. And it's also old growth Douglas fir. So it's really strong wood with tight grain, good wood fiber, and it's larger dimensions, and it's also rough sawn. So we classify this as heritage lumber. The next one is antique, so it's still old growth Doug fir. It's still tight grain, as you can see, but it's a little bit smaller in dimensions, so it loses about a 1/4 inch all around. And then lastly, this is modern dimensional lumber, or SPF, spruce pine fir. You can see it's a different color. It's actually a different species of wood. Most of the SPF that you can buy today is from spruce. We're not anti-logging, we're pro-forestry, and we wouldn't have this lumber if someone hadn't cut it and milled it before. But what we really want to see is the ending of the old growth logging, shifting what they're cutting and where that's going. And at the same time, we need to ban demolition because we are disposing of old growth lumber that was previously cut, and it makes no sense. And if you do both in relatively the same time, we'll be able to supply the industry with old growth Douglas fir and cedar, and we'll also get to keep our beautiful old growth forest still standing. When it comes to the salvage lumber, it gets brought into this space where it's denailed, it's cut to length, and then it gets palletized and stacked together, and then it gets shipped out to our sales yard. To date, we've just been selling our material raw, and we're just in the process of getting our manufacturing set up. So we'll start remanufacturing this lumber into finished goods and different building products to resupply the building market. Reclaimed wood has a lot of uses, and it has certain constraints under the current building code. So you cannot just take a reclaimed stud and throw it back in as a stud and call in your building inspector for an inspection. You won't pass. We have supplied projects with reclaimed wood that's been used for structural elements that were signed off by their engineer. So it's not that it can't be used for structure, You just have to have an engineer ensure that it's good for structure. Beyond that, really anywhere you utilize wood in a project, it could be reclaimed wood. And the benefit of utilizing reclaimed wood versus virgin lumber is that it has 12 times less embodied carbon. So it's literally the greenest building material you could possibly use. So you're using 12 times less energy, less resources to get that piece of wood in your hands than you would if you bought a brand new piece off the shelf. Deconstruction is really great for the economy. So for every one demolition job, we generate about 5 deconstruction jobs on top of it. So we're not just talking about an environmental thing. This is great business and it's great for our communities. So right now we're operating in southern BC, but we do have plans to expand to essentially every major city in Canada and the US over the next 5 years. But at the same time, we're hoping to influence the industry as well. There's a lot of great existing demolition companies out there operating, and hopefully we can either help them shift through just leading by example, or even working with them to show that there's a better way to remove buildings to really recapture those materials. On the macroscopic level, the challenges to deconstruction as an industry, there's 4 major challenges. The first is cost. So deconstruction typically costs more, which with our business models, we're trying to challenge that hurdle. Really, we like to flip that challenge on its head. The problem is not that deconstruction costs more, the problem is that demolition is really cheap. The second hurdle is time. We're typically a 4 to 6 person crew pulling the building apart layer by layer. We utilize machines to speed it up, but it still takes more time. The third one is policy. So right now, most regions, the policy really favors demolition. There's no waste separation policy. There is no salvaging requirements, recycling requirements. Policy is really set up for the industry to just smash and get rid of buildings as quick as possible. We need to rethink how that policy works. And the last one is the infrastructure with the materials. So if you're going to separate these materials on site, do you have the outlets for them to go? Do you have the markets for them to be sold to? And that's where, as we look to bring this service to new regions, we need to start working with policymakers, local industry, to ensure that we can kind of cover all those bases.
Please share this video if you liked it. Also, be sure to subscribe to Exploring Alternatives and check out our playlists for more stories like this. Thanks for watching.